Lightning make a move that may give some hint about an unanswered question to the Lightning's goaltending this season. Plus, what are the biggest surprises from the first week of the NHL action? We'll talk about it on today's Locked On Lightning.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free daily Tampa Bay Lightning podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, I want to begin by giving a shout out to our everydayers, those of you who tune into every single show, every single day. We love you. We appreciate the support you give us week in and week out. I'm Nick Morgan, and I am joined by the Warren Sapp to my Derek Brooks, Greg Stephen. Greg, welcome in, my friend.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. A little day off for the Bolts, but still some stuff to talk about. And we'll even dive into the NHL a little bit today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about early season surprises, what surprised us about the Lightning season so far, and some other teams and players across the NHL. Plus, some big news on NHL expansion. And it's not the news that we thought we might hear from the league this week. We'll dive into that in just 1 second. But first, want to mention today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Well, Greg, it is a bittersweet day, I would say, for the Lightning fandom as we say goodbye to longtime beloved fan favorite, Phoenix Copley. Man, Greg, I know it's so many good memories, but it seems like just 2 weeks ago, Phoenix Copley joined this team. Time has gone that fast. And look, I would ask you what your favorite Phoenix Copley Tampa Bay Lightning moment was, but I think you and I both know it's just too many to name.
Absolutely.
There's just too many great Phoenix Copley memories here in Tampa Bay.
Absolutely, man. We're going to miss him. He did his part, but sometimes you got to move on.
Yeah, I mean, from that time he played in that one preseason game till he was traded back to the team that he was claimed off waivers from, God, and just everything in between, he will be missed.
Definitely interesting.
Yeah. You know what? All jokes aside, Greg, Phoenix Copley gets claimed off waivers from the Kings 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, he is traded back to the LA Kings for future considerations. We joke about the move. We're still trying to figure out what exactly is his role here. What exactly was the purpose of the move? But I will say this, the fact that he was traded away makes me think Tampa Bay is solid with Andrei Vasilevskiy and Jonas Johansson, which seems weird out of context to say that sentence. But considering some of the question marks around Vasilevsky's health and maybe whether Jonas Johansson can really be that, 1B reliable backup.
Yep.
I would say this is a sign that those questions maybe have been answered in the front office's mind.
Completely agree. Actually, exactly what I was going to say. I think you and I had obviously talked about how we thought potentially they were doubting Vasi's health a little bit, and that was the reason for that move. Maybe it was they doubted JoJo, and they were kind of seeing what was going to happen there, and that's why they made that move. We won't really ever know. But like you said, I think their questions were answered, whatever they were. And look, I've been confident in the Vasi JoJo combo. I haven't doubted them even last season. I know a lot of people are JoJo haters, but look, he shut out the Cats last year. And the games where he did allow up a bunch of goals, it was not his fault. It was the defense blowing coverages as usual. So look, I love JoJo as a backup, and he plays his role well. He's only expected to play 20-ish games, right? Something around there. And I think he wins 50% of them, and that's his job. So look, I'm satisfied with this. Just curious to see the future considerations, but look, overall, it's like not really a win or loss, right? Like it's just good overall, I guess.
Yeah. I'm gonna come back in 1 second to that 20 games part for Jonas Johansson because I
Okay.
think that is maybe a little bit different this year. But I will say that after the first couple games, you were kind of wondering what you're going to get out of Vasilevskiy, and I think it's a case of, is he 100% healthy? Is he back to full speed? Is there any worry about him maybe not being, maybe it takes him a while to get up to par? I think he answered those questions in that Washington game, even though it was a
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah.
I think we saw Vazzy make a lot of really good saves, and I think
Completely agree.
maybe that quelled some of the concern over them. I want to talk about the goaltending situation moving forward this year, Greg, because look, the Tampa Bay has had a lot of concerns elsewhere on the ice this year
100%.
with, I think, maybe perceived effort at certain points, with taking penalties, with defensive lapses.
Yep.
All of those things are fixable.
Absolutely.
What's not fixable is inconsistent goaltending. And that's why, to me, the health of Vasilevskiy and the performance of Jonas Johansson, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's going to be the biggest X factor to me as to whether Tampa Bay really does get back to that cup contender tier or whether they fall way short of the expectations they had for themselves this year.
Completely agree. And I've preached this for 2 decades now. Goaltending wins championships. It's just a fact. Look at the Oilers. Like I believe if they had an S tier goalie, they probably would have won, right? Like they're
I don't
losing
even say S tier. I think just like an above average
higher than B.
goaltending. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's critical, right? And we know that Vasi has that skill set to be that guy. I still believe that he can be that guy. I don't think he's shown true regression of any type, outside of obviously his I'll call it minor injury last season. Yeah, but if he stays healthy and plays his game, like this is a strong team. But look, it doesn't really matter how well he plays either if the defense doesn't fix their stuff. And like you said, it is fixable, but goalies don't win games alone either. So,
No.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to fix here still. Hopefully, we'll see some improvement. Look, I'm going to say it again. Like, I would love to see some better discipline as far as taking these silly penalties, but also on the coaching staff. Like, I'd like to see them discipline some of these guys. I like that they scratch Radish. I think it shows you need to be smarter with the puck, right? And this is something that I hope happens to Lilleberg as well, because I love Lilleberg. I want him to be good. I want him to succeed. But I think the way that will happen is teaching him lessons, and that is through healthy scratching. That is through making sure he doesn't take 4 minutes of penalties per game. And it's all important. So
yeah. And to me, it's going to be interesting to see how they manage maybe some of the Lilleberg early season struggles.
yeah,
Because it sounds like Max Crozier is going to be out for at least tomorrow's game, probably Saturday's game.
yeah. I'd assume the
So
whole road trip.
it doesn't, yeah. But maybe the Copley trade opens up space for them to bring in Declan Carlisle, but you're going to have to rely with him out. You're going to have to rely on Lilleberg, and you're going to have to rely on Radish to get them through an early season injury. And here's the other thing, because I want to go back to the Vasilevskiy discussion for a second, is obviously I think the Lightning for now are good about what they see out of him health-wise, but I'm almost wondering, I think, Greg, I don't know if you can do the whole Andre Vasilevskiy plays 60-plus games again this year. I think if there is an opportunity and you're confident in JoJo, which, to be fair, I was not at the beginning of the season.
Right.
I think if you can find more confidence in getting him out there and playing a average to above average performance in goal,
yeah,
I almost think like you have to increase JoJo's workload and decrease Vazzy's workload to keep Vasilevskiy fresh and to keep him sharp and to maybe get a few extra prime years out of him down the line.
Yeah, probably true. Do you see it as being more of like a tandem style or not quite yet
No,
that
I
far?
don't see it like
You
what
saying like
Boston did.
50-30?
Yeah, like 65-35, maybe something like that. Or 60-40 at least, like maybe Vasilevskiy gets 50 to 55 and JoJo gets the rest.
Right.
I'm not going to say it's like, Linus Olmark and,
Yeah. Okay.
Tracy
That's what
in a few
that's what I
years.
was
Yeah.
asking.
No. I'm not saying that situation. I'm just saying I don't think it can be like what it has been the past few years where Vazzy's playing both sides of a back-to-back and, 5 games in a 2-week span. Like, I think you've got to maybe find a way to get JoJo some more starts and give Vazzy a little bit of a lighter workload, especially early on if he's facing a lot of defensive lapses from the defense. I think that's going to wear him out very fast.
Yeah, I mean, it wears out any goalie that fast, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Just
we
JC.
confirmed we haven't confirmed a goalie yet for tonight, right?
Well, for tomorrow night, and
Or
no,
right.
not yet. But it's a back-to-back, so I assume you'll see one and then the other.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just curious who they start where. I thought they actually played it perfectly in this past back-to-back. I like that they put Vasi against the Caps. I think that was very smart because they very easily could have flip-flopped that and it would have been a disastrous game against the Caps. You just never know. Like you said, I thought Vasi played really well in that one, actually, despite the outcome, obviously.
Yeah, I'm going to say maybe with this extra day of rest between games, I almost think maybe you go Vazzy first and just maybe let him try to build some momentum and then go to JoJo in the second half. But
yeah, I agree. And my logic would actually be just strength of schedule. I think Vasi is probably best against the Wings, and then you play the Jackets, who are a rising team, right? By the way,
yeah,
not an easy win by any means, but I still think that's a better fit for JoJo to play in.
yeah. Hey, the Red Wings are first place in the Atlantic Division right now, and the
Mm-hmm.
Columbus Blue Jackets
Mm-hmm.
are hanging in there as well. Are
Yeah.
they your biggest surprises of the NHL season so far? We're going to talk about what surprises we've seen across the NHL and what has surprised us from the Tampa Bay Lightning when we come back. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 back if your first bet wins. That's right. All you have to do is pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it gives me so many different ways to play. I can build parlays, I can do player props, or my favorite thing to do, follow the live lines during games with some live in-game bets. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan or just want to follow the guys on your fantasy team, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much more fun. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Again, FanDuel.com to download the app and place your first $5 bet. We're back on Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Steve. And Greg, let's talk about surprises from the first week and a half of NHL action. Let's start on the Tampa Bay Lightning side. What has surprised you most about the Lightning season so far?
I think it's going to be top line struggle. And look, we've seen them convert a few times, and Cooch notched two, I think, in the first game, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of thought we'd see a 3-point night out of him like another time by now, and he just doesn't look that great. And I don't know, the top line, other than Gensel looks hot, man. But other than that, I just feel like the stars are not coming through right now. And I'm not worried because they're Kucherov and Point, and but still a little caught off guard by that. I kind of thought Kuch was going to come out on a heater, to be honest with you. Yeah. So that's probably my biggest surprise right now.
And it's not necessarily just top line offense because like Braden Point has 5 points in his first 4 games.
Right.
I think he's got up to a good start. It's just the fact that the first line seems to be losing their matchups on a frequent, on a frequent basis. And I know like plus minus isn't the
people hate that
best.
stat.
Yeah, I know it's not the best stat this year, but it does tell you, I think, sort of in a big picture, if you're winning or losing most of your matchups 5-on-5. And Braden Point's -5 this year, despite having 5 points, and Nikita Kucherov's -8.
Yeah.
So it just feels like, the way the Lightning have been so good over the past few years is the fact that they've been able to put out that first line and not just score, but win their matchups and possess the puck and keep the other team's big guns from scoring. That's how they won their back-to-back cups. Not necessarily just outscoring everybody,
right?
But by keeping the other team's big guns from being able to get anything going, in their own end.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they won championships playing defense, really. I mean, obviously they had Cooch doing work as well and Stammer and whatever, but yeah, I mean, defense wins these, right? And just look terrible on defense. The offense looks so bad on defense. Even the defense looks so bad on defense. Let's be real.
Yeah. To me, Greg, I'm going to say my biggest surprise is just the fact that we haven't seen a lot of ice time to either Jack Finley or Connor Geekie.
Yeah.
We came into those seasons, and I will say credit to, John Cooper for putting Gage Consalvis in a bigger role and asking him, and Gage has 3 assists so far in 4 games. So I would say he's off to a pretty solid start, but it just seems like both of those players, Geekie and Finley, had a lot of upside, and it seems like they were ready to maybe take the next step. Geekie, especially because he spent so much time with the Lightning last year, bounced around a little bit, had that hot start in the AHL. And it seemed like he's 21 years old this year. It seems like maybe this is like, okay, let's give him a little bit more responsibility. Yeah. Let's give him a little bit more ice time and see what he can do. And if the hockey skill set can maybe match up to, his game now that he's adjusted to the pace of NHL hockey, and he's really not getting a chance to do that. Averaging under 10 minutes of ice time per game. I really thought he especially would be the one that we look at and say, okay, he's ready for, the next, he's ready for the next big role here for the Lightning.
Completely agree with you. I'm shocked that Geekie has not been playing more. I see him as so much more valuable than Chafee too. Like, it makes no sense to me that he skates so few minutes. That being said, we have to remember that like this forward group is also stacked. So if you are gonna, give a lot of the bigger guys a lot of shifts, there's not a ton of space for him to skate a lot of time.
Sure. Yeah.
Because look, like Bjorkstrand and Yanni look awesome this season so far, in my opinion. I think they look great. They're arguably 2 of the best players right now on this team. Let's just be real.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And even Pontus looks good. Like, I'm more impressed by those 3 than anyone. I mean, other than maybe Gensel, I'm more impressed by those 3 than anyone else's game right now. And Crozier too, but obviously he's injured now. Yeah, but which is a shame. It is. Honestly, I view that as a huge loss personally. I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, we still have Hedman and JJ, whatever." Yeah, Crozier's looking good, man, and I knew it was going to happen. It sucks that he went down, but yeah, also Finley, like you said, if I'm Finley, I'm almost kind of hurt. My feelings, I mean, by the fact that like they bring in Curtis Douglas and, because it's kind of like, hey, that's like sort of my job, but also I can play hockey, and yeah. I almost feel like you're hurting his confidence by like alternating that. They're kind of like almost alternating them in a way.
In a little bit, yeah. And yeah. I'm exactly the same mindset there where I look at Jack Finley and it's like, okay, he's a big boy. He is a large human being. Yeah. But he also has some really good hockey skill set. And I kind of looked at him as he's got room to come in and be a contributor, like a very good 2-way contributor early.
He reminds me of Tom Wilson.
Yeah. Maybe not necessarily lighting up the scoreboard or anything this year, but I think he can go on there, kill penalties, be defensively responsible, maybe even win a couple of key faceoffs. And again, like Curtis Douglas has played 3 of the 4 games this year. And I don't know. I was expecting maybe some of the young guys to go in and be able to prove that not only can we play the role of a bottom line, but we can also add some little offensive spark as well. Just hasn't happened.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm with you. And I hope that we see Geeky more like in the next coming games. But
Yeah.
I think it's also the fact that the Lightning are desperate for some like W's right now. And they kind of expect these top guys to go out there and win games. And it's just not really happening right now. So that's probably a part of it. They're like, let's just dump Cooch and Pointer out there. And, but like I said, Cooch doesn't look fantastic yet. I don't think I'm not panicking. It's Kucherov. I think he'll end with 100+ points again, but just not on his game right now. He's looking a little almost too overconfident, like where it almost looks careless.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing. I hope that changes because I know he's not a careless guy. I mean, he's one of the most self-critical players in the league, arguably the most self-critical. So we'll see.
Let's zoom out a little bit and go towards the rest of the NHL. Is there a team or player or just anything in general over this first week and a half that has surprised you so far this NHL season?
Yeah, look, I owe the Bruins and the Bruins fans an apology for putting them on the bottom of the division in my predictions because they started 3-0. They lost their last one, but still looking pretty good, man. Like I didn't expect it. They look solid. Their differential is +4. They're scoring goals. They're playing defense, and obviously they have Swayman and Pasta. So with those two guys, you're not ever going to be terrible. So yeah, I was shocked they started 3-0, but I guess I shouldn't have been, and I apologize.
Yeah, the Red Wings too, first place in the division, and they've looked great.
Yeah,
they look really good.
It's insane how well Patty Kane still can play hockey.
Oh yeah. Well, and you know what? Even that first loss where they got smoked by Montreal, you watch that game, and that's bad goaltending.
Yeah.
Like, they should not have lost that first game. They, like, crushed Montreal in terms of, like, possession and everything like that and shots on goal. It was just they did not have good goaltending.
That's definitely the Wings' biggest issue is goaltending.
Don't I, as somebody whose family are Red Wings fans, don't I know it, bud? My biggest surprise to me, I'm staying in the division. I'm going to go to the Ottawa Senators coming out of the gate slow.
Yep.
They had that big win in the season opener against us, and we're thinking, okay, like, yeah, this is kind of what we thought the Ottawa Senators were going to be. Hasn't panned out that way. They've lost every game since, and they haven't particularly looked great in any of them. They lost to Florida, lost to Nashville, and then the cherry on top yesterday was they gave the Buffalo Sabres their first win of the year, and it was 8-4. And it's interesting because you kind of expected them to have the breakout year, and a couple of players are doing good. Like Jake Sanderson obviously is.
Pinto looks good too.
And Pinto looks good, but it's kind of the same thing where they're not getting any sort of good goaltending. Some of their other big stars, other than that first game, haven't really stepped up yet. Brady Tkachuk also seems like he might get hurt. And Greg, you and I didn't just pick them to like be good this year. We picked them to be in the top 3 of the Atlantic. You and I both did.
Yeah.
And obviously long season ahead of us. They can easily turn it around, get some things going. But I don't know. I just thought like they kind of had an easy schedule. I thought that they were going to jump out of the gate fast, especially how good they looked against us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And what's funny is that game last night made them have the worst goal differential in the entire league. They are now -10. So obviously some defensive woes over there. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, it's funny. We picked the Lightning and the Sens to be in the top 3, and it's not working out so far.
Yeah. It's interesting to say the least. Hey, if you're listening or watching us on YouTube and you guys have thoughts on what your biggest surprises for the season have been this year, either with the Lightning or across the NHL in general, let us know. Drop us a comment on our YouTube page. Hit us up on social media at Locked On Lightning. We'd love to hear from you and get your take. Interesting news about NHL expansion. Bill Daly from the league office dropping an update on expansion this week, and it's not the kind we thought we were going to get. We'll talk about that in just 1 second. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season's officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be honest, getting tickets to hockey games can be a total nightmare. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in handy. It's the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. It's not just hockey either. Football, basketball, baseball, concert tickets, comedy shows, you name it. Game Time's got tickets for the show you want to see. Just last week, I wanted to go see the Lions take on the Bengals here in Cincinnati. The first thing I did was pull up Game Time, and in seconds, I got some really, really good deals. I could see the exact view of the stadium from the seats that I wanted to get, and it showed me my prices up front. So I didn't have to go through checkout and be like, where did these $100 worth of surprise fees come from? It told me that as I was adding the tickets to my cart. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, Locked On NHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Welcome back to Locked On Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen. And Greg, a big talking point for the past little bit has been NHL expansion. It seemed like the league was gung-ho on adding a few more teams into the mix. Atlanta was apparently told to go ahead and build a stadium up in the burbs.
Yep.
We know Houston has been a spot that the NHL have been looking at. Even, hey, would Quebec get another team sometime soon? But then it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Board of Governors meeting yesterday, Bill Daley saying expansion is not an initiative we're pursuing before 2030, saying it's not going to happen anytime soon. Kind of a pivot from what we've heard the past few years. Greg, are you either surprised or disappointed or happy maybe that the NHL is not going to be adding any more teams in the next few years?
I'm going to go with neither of those. I'm going to go with indifferent, which I don't know. Maybe it's a hot take. I just kind of need a break from adding new teams. I just feel like maybe it's because I'm old and time happens so quickly for me now, but it just feels like we just got Vegas, Seattle, and now we have the Mammoth. I know it was a relocate, but still, it's like 3 new teams so fast in my mind. And the Vegas has been around now, like 6 years, 8 years, 6 years,
Yeah.
8 years. But still feels pretty quick for 3 new teams. And I don't know. I'm not against adding teams by any means, but look, every time you add a team, it makes it harder for your own team to win the cup. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't really care either way. I will say I am shocked, like you said, because it did seem like at least Atlanta was coming very soon. And now, with the 2030 comment, you got to wait another half a decade before that. So yeah, little shocked, but as far as how much I care, it's little to none.
Yeah, there you go. I don't want to say indifferent because I do think it's going to be fun to get some markets, a good hockey team, especially if they can support it.
Yep.
I do think there's a lot of dilution in the NHL right now.
Mm-hmm.
And look, there's a lot of really good players, but it also just feels like we're swamped with teams. And I also think that the NHL, they were very gung-ho on expansion after Vegas, and you obviously see what happened there. And I think maybe Seattle coming out of the gate slower than they maybe anticipated. I think they were thinking maybe Vegas 2.0.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's had them reconsider it. And look, the reason that Seattle's come out of the gate a little bit slower is because it had been almost 2 decades since the last expansion draft when Vegas came to the league. And they changed the rules a bit. And obviously we saw teams around the league fumble the ever living, what, out of that expansion draft and set Vegas up for years with draft picks, good players. And I think Seattle kind of thought it's like, all right, we're going to somehow get our Alex
We're gonna
Tuck
do the
and
same thing.
Chase
Yeah.
Theodore out of this. And NHL GMs were like, no, why don't you just take like our good second line winger? We'll be okay, man. And so I think maybe that the NHL's got to take another look at maybe the expansion process and setting them up.
I think they should. Because look, like you said, Vegas got stacked out of that, right?
Yeah.
And it sucks watching your team try and protect the guys they love, but they only have a certain amount of protection for their roster, and then they can just snag whoever they want. And I kind of hate that. But that being said, yeah, Seattle, I don't know if they fumbled it or they just had poor choices, but yeah, they did not pull the Vegas, if you will. And now, I mean, they were actually decent their first and second year, right? They were like, okay.
Their first year, they missed the playoffs. Second year, they got to the playoffs and upset Colorado.
Right. And then they just all of a sudden fell off hard, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, not exactly a Vegas. And their roster now to me is very mid. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think the NHL sees that and they're kind of like, maybe we should like rework this whole process. They just bought themselves 5 years to do that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Here's a fun question for you.
Okay.
Give me a city or the city where you would most like to see the NHL put an expansion team.
I might have to just go Atlanta. I know.
It feels like a already, Greg.
I know, but that's why I feel like there is a market there, and I just feel like that's a poppin' city, it's a sports city, and why not have an NHL team there? I don't know.
So I used to do sports in Atlanta, and
Okay.
I remember this was after the Thrashers had moved.
Yeah.
And I remember the sports director at the TV station I worked at said, the Thrashers would have thrived had they not put an arena downtown and put it in the suburbs.
Interesting.
It's just because if you know anything about Atlanta, it sucks to drive downtown, no matter where you live. And a lot of hockey fans live on the outside of town because that's where all like the youth programs and teams are. They are proposing an arena a little bit up in the suburbs, closer to where their ECHL team plays. And maybe that is the difference this time. Like maybe you get more consistent fan base. You have to win. And look, Atlanta is a fickle sports town in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than the Georgia Bulldogs, this is a city that's kind of fair weather when it comes to their sports teams. I know as somebody who lived there for a long time, it's going to be interesting because if they don't get that success early on, I don't trust it, Greg. I don't trust the Atlanta experiment part 3.
No,
you
don't think the arena relocation is the answer?
I think it's a step in the right direction, but again, like if this team sucks for 5 years out of the gate, nobody's there is going to care.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
But all it takes is one good year, right? Look at the Panthers. No one gave a crap about them. And now all of a sudden it feels like everyone's a Panthers fan.
Yeah. Well, guess what happened? They won 2 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
That will certainly put fans in the seats.
Yeah. Probably for the rest of their history now.
Yeah. Or in 5 years from now when they collapse somehow.
When they suck.
Yeah. This is going to be cliche. Give me Quebec City.
Okay.
Or someplace like Hamilton. Give me someplace in Canada.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's just screw it. I know that there's business decisions that's making the NHL nervous about putting a team back there.
Yeah.
I know like some Canadian teams, especially the smaller market ones like, Ottawa, Winnipeg, have a harder time generating, ad sponsorship revenue, some TV deals, everything like that maybe an American market doesn't have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But God, you can't look at those cities and tell me that is a part of the country that wouldn't go absolutely wild for another NHL team.
I agree. I think it'd be a great spot, honestly. And I'm so for like adding more Canadian teams too, just to like balance the US Canadian metrics, if you will.
Yeah.
And give Canada an extra shot at the cup.
Yeah. I mean, look what happened when Winnipeg got an NHL team back. Like they were getting like, it was like a playoff atmosphere every game. Like they went wild for it. And look, they have to be good. Because even the Jets right now are having some issues with the business side of things, but I just think it would be so fun to see.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, so it may be a vibes pick, but I'm gonna go Quebec City on this one.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, if you're watching, let us know where you would put an NHL expansion, whether it's a big one like Houston, Atlanta. Would you give Phoenix another chance? Or someplace really off the wall with a city that you think would support an NHL team? Let us know. Same deal. Comment on our YouTube page. Drop us a comment on Instagram. We would love to hear from you. Tomorrow, Tampa Bay takes on the Detroit Red Wings. It is the first of 2 straight games. We'll preview the weekend ahead, both the Red Wings and the Blue Jackets, talk about some things we want to see from the team as they try to break out of this early season slump.
Yeah.
Let's hope it happens, Greg.
Yeah,
or Monday's episode is going to be a doozy, folks. Well, let's hope it's not a doozy.
Yeah.
Hope it's a celebration. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked On Lightning. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Back with an all-new episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.